a location where the deceased find their final repose. It's no wonder that burial grounds are often associated with a certain notoriety for apparitions and ethereal entities, and in fact, in every corner of the globe. There exist eerie narratives and spine-chilling myths linked to burial places, featuring accounts that span from enigmatic shifting caskets to gateways to the netherworld, and even blood-sucking creatures. Just outside of the city of Chicago, Archer Avenue takes drivers past Resurrection Cemetery, the final resting place of a young woman who tragically lost her life in the 1930s. Over the course of more than 8 decades, the tale of this young woman's mysterious return to the cemetery, where she can be seen dancing and hitchhiking along the avenue night after night, has captivated the imaginations of many. Referred to as Resurrection Mary, her first reported sighting dates back to 1939, when a man named Jerry Paulus had a remarkable encounter. Jerry met an enchanting young blonde lady dressed in white at a local dance hall. They danced the night away, and as a gesture of kindness, Jerry offered her a ride home. The woman guided him down Archer Avenue but then abruptly disappeared right before they reached the gates of Resurrection Cemetery. As the years passed, more and more accounts of encounters with Resurrection Mary emerged. In 1979, one of the most notable sightings was documented by reporter Bill Geist in an article titled, "Cryptic Rider Leaves Taxi Driver with the Willies." The taxi driver, who preferred to keep his last name confidential, stood by his spine-chilling tale, even though he was apprehensive about being labeled as eccentric. The driver, known as Ralph, recounted a night when he picked up an unusual young woman in a white dress who instructed him to drive down Archer Avenue. During the journey, she remained mostly silent, except for a comment about the early arrival of snow that year. When she suddenly asked him to stop in front of Resurrection Cemetery, Ralph slammed on the brakes. In a split second, while he briefly looked away, something inexplicable occurred, sending shivers down his spine. When I turned, she was gone, vanished. And the car door never even opened. Throughout the years, numerous men have come forward with remarkably similar accounts. These tales all revolved around an attractive blonde dressed in a white party gown, who would dance and then mysteriously vanish near the cemetery. Some witnesses claimed to have seen her strolling down the road, occasionally even darting into oncoming traffic. Others recounted stopping to offer her a ride, only for the white-clad woman to vanish in the classic, vanishing hitchhiker fashion, sometimes after she exited the car, and sometimes as the driver walked around to open her door. The narratives surrounding the girl behind this apparition vary. The most well-known version suggests that a young woman named Mary, as she came to be known, was out one evening with her boyfriend, dancing at the O. Henry Ballroom, now the Willowbrook Ballroom. They had an argument, and in her frustration, the young woman stormed out of the ballroom to walk home alone. Tragically, not long after leaving the dance hall, Mary was struck by a car. The driver fled the scene, leaving her for dead. Mary's grieving parents later found her lifeless body. They dressed her in a white gown and dancing shoes before laying her to rest in Resurrection Cemetery. It is said that Mary's spirit then emerged from the grave, wandering the cemetery grounds and revisiting her favorite dance spots. Unlike many other reported ghosts, it appears that this spirit actively seeks human contact rather than avoiding it. The legend of Resurrection Mary's demise also accounts for another perplexing phenomenon associated with her spirit. Several individuals traveling down Archer Avenue have reported frantic calls to the police, describing the discovery of a young woman's abandoned body on the roadside, apparently the victim of a hit-and-run accident. Yet, when officers arrived at the scene, the body would inexplicably vanish, leaving behind only an indentation in the grass in the shape of a human form. Throughout the years, numerous researchers have tried to link the ghostly figure to young women named Mary, who tragically perished in automobile accidents during the late 1920s or early 1930s. One theory suggests that the restless spirit could be that of Mary Bregovy, a 21-year-old woman who lost her life in 1934 when the vehicle she was riding in crashed into a roadside structure. Another possibility is that Resurrection Mary is the spectral manifestation of Anna Norkus, a devout devotee of the Virgin Mary who adopted the name Maria, Lithuanian for Mary, as her middle name. Norkus met her demise in a car accident in 1927 while returning home from an evening spent at the O. Henry Ballroom. However, Mary Bregovy had dark hair, and Anna Norkus was just under 13 years old, which didn't align with the description of a young blonde woman in her early 20s. Moreover, they had no connection to any hit-and-run incidents, leaving Resurrection Mary's true identity shrouded in mystery. Adding to the intrigue of this local tale is the cemetery itself. Resurrection Cemetery sprawls across more than 540 acres, ranking as one of North America's largest burial grounds and rumored to be one of its most haunted. On one eerie night, a man claimed to have glimpsed a young woman who appeared trapped within the vast cemetery. When a police officer investigated, he found no one there. But the bars on the cemetery gate appeared scorched and distorted. While authorities attributed this to a maintenance mishap involving a truck, legend has it that Resurrection Mary left her mark by seemingly searing the bars with her hands, as if attempting to free herself, regardless of the skeptics who dismiss Mary's tale as a mere urban legend. The consistent sightings of this enigmatic figure over the years remain a compelling and inexplicable phenomenon that continues to captivate ghost enthusiasts for generations. It's no exaggeration to say that the United States boasts numerous eerie burial grounds with haunted histories. Some of these supernatural sites are rumored to be so malevolent that they're believed to serve as gateways to the underworld. Standing out as one of the most terrifying and off-limits cemeteries worldwide, Stull Cemetery has cultivated such a notorious reputation that it's rumored even the Pope reroutes his plane to avoid it. Its dark reputation is steeped in curses, witchcraft, satanic cults, mysterious deaths, and the alleged presence of a staircase leading straight to hell, tucked away in rural Kansas. The town of Stull was established by Pennsylvania Dutch settlers back in 1867. They constructed a stone church at the heart of the cemetery and utilized it for their Anabaptist religious practices until the early 20th century, when it was abandoned due to a collapsed roof. Now abandoned, the church stands in ruins, while the myths and legends about Stull have thrived. One of these legends suggests that Stull Cemetery marks one of the 7 gateways to the underworld. According to folklore, twice a year, precisely at midnight on Halloween and the spring equinox, a stone staircase materializes within the cemetery. This staircase is believed to be a direct passage to hell, which the devil uses to enter the mortal realm. Once there, he is said to roam the graveyard, awakening the deceased from their graves to commit malevolent acts. Another tale revolves around Stull's alleged hanging tree, a tree in the graveyard where accused witches were executed. Even though the tree has disappeared, its sinister aura persists. Another vestige of darkness within the cemetery is an ancient tombstone bearing the word Whiteage. Locals whisper that this grave serves as the final resting place for the remains of a child of Satan, an infant supposedly born with deformities and covered in wolf-like hair. These spine-chilling narratives have contributed to Stull's ominous reputation to such an extent that on Halloween night in 1988, nearly 500 individuals gathered at the cemetery gates in the hopes of witnessing Satan's emergence from hell. Their actions caused significant damage, prompting the local sheriff's department to station deputies on the property every Halloween. During other times of the year, the town of Stull remains equally wary of visitors, resulting in the cemetery never receiving a proper investigation. Consequently, due to its inaccessibility and sinister aura, Stull Cemetery stands as one of the most malevolent graveyards in America, yet one that remains largely unknown to the public. Nestled within a serene neighborhood near Hickory Hill Park lies Iowa City's Oakland Cemetery, a final resting place for numerous departed souls, featuring an intriguing and somewhat enigmatic bronze statue known as the Black Angel. The origins of this striking figure trace back to the early 20th century, and it stands as a sentinel over the graves of Teresa Dolezal and her family. Teresa's story began when she and her son, Eddie, relocated to Iowa City during the late 1800s. She worked as a midwife until 1891 when a tragic twist of fate claimed Eddie's life due to meningitis. He was interred in Oakland Cemetery, with a memorial taking the form of a tree stump erected to mark his resting place. Subsequently, Teresa ventured to Oregon, where she found love once more and wedded Nicholas Feldevert. Unfortunately, her happiness was short-lived, as Nicholas passed away just a few years later in 1911, devastated by the loss of both her son and husband in quick succession. Teresa returned to Iowa City. In her grief, she commissioned a magnificent bronze angel statue, standing at a towering 8.5 feet, crafted by the talented Chicago artist Mario Corbell. This statue would serve as a lasting tribute to her beloved ones. Upon its arrival by train, rumors and tales started to circulate. In 1913, as the statue was raised, Eddie's memorial was relocated beside it, and Nicholas Feldevert's ashes were placed within the base of the angel. Strangely, Teresa's name bore no death date, adding an aura of mystery to the statue. Curiously, the bronze angel had transformed into a deep black hue by the time of Teresa's passing. Local legends soon emerged, attributing this transformation to various narratives tied to Teresa's past. Some depicted her as a sinister and enigmatic woman, claiming the statue altered its color to serve as a warning against approaching her grave. In one dramatic telling, a thunderstorm on the night of Teresa's funeral saw a lightning bolt strike the angel, leaving it scorched and blackened. Other accounts attributed the statue's blackening to allegations of infidelity, asserting that Teresa had sworn on her husband's grave to remain faithful until her own demise, and the monument darkened as a sign of her betrayal. More extreme stories even suggested that Eddie Dolezal had not succumbed to meningitis but had met a darker fate at the hands of Teresa herself, and the angel's transformation marked her guilt. Though limited evidence supports these claims, many suggest that the change in color was a natural result of oxidation. Nonetheless, the legends persist, with some asserting that the angel's eyes turned black as coal overnight, and the darkness seemed to trickle down its face as if the angel were shedding tears. Given its reputation, it's unsurprising that the Black Angel statue is associated with sinister powers in local lore. According to one tale, any young woman kissed in the shadow of the angel's wings will meet her end within 6 months, and touching the angel on Halloween night guarantees death within 7 years. Kissing the angel directly is said to halt a person's heart instantly. Variations claim that only a virgin can make such contact without dire consequences, or that the angel itself descends from its pedestal to roam the cemetery at night. In 2013, the Sci-Fi Channel series, Haunted Highway, visited Oakland Cemetery to feature the Black Angel in an episode that aired on December 18. Investigators recorded peculiar sounds and visual anomalies throughout the cemetery. When they turned their thermal cameras toward the Black Angel statue, it appeared to emanate heat, even in the chilly night. Regardless of the validity of these myriad legends, there's no denying the Black Angel's enduring influence as a solemn monument. Savannah's Bonaventure Cemetery is renowned for its picturesque landscapes and remarkable memorials dedicated to the deceased. Among its notable features is a headstone that captivates every visitor's attention. Enclosed by an ornate iron fence, a statue of a young girl, her right hand resting on a tree stump, commands contemplation. This young girl is none other than Gracie Watson, affectionately known as Little Gracie. She was the sole offspring of Wales, W.J., and Margaret Frances Watson. In the 1880s, Wales assumed management of the opulent Pulaski Hotel, but the Watsons initially found themselves on the fringes of the city's elite. Margaret, eager to assimilate into the community, began offering food and drinks at their hotel, ultimately leading to an elevation in their social standing. The Pulaski hosted numerous gatherings, and Gracie frequently graced these events with her endearing presence. Little Gracie's charming personality made her a beloved hostess among the guests. When she grew weary of mingling with adults, she often slipped away to play beneath the back stairwell. Her playful disappearances became a recurring jest with the partygoers, who would humorously inquire, "Where's Gracie?" As the night wore on, tragically, just 2 days before Easter in 1889, Gracie Watson succumbed to pneumonia at the tender age of 6. Her parents, Wales and Margaret, were inconsolable. A grief-stricken Margaret claimed to still hear the laughter and playfulness of little Gracie beneath the back staircase. Consequently, Wales relocated his wife to the newly opened DeSoto Hotel in a bid to escape their haunting memories. Yet over time, various staff members attested to hearing Gracie's voice near the stairs, while others refused to venture into the basement due to eerie moans and unsettling sounds of clanking metal. In a final tribute to his beloved daughter, Wales Watson commissioned sculptor John Walls to create a lifelike monument of Gracie, using a photograph as a reference. This remarkable sculpture now marks her resting place in Bonaventure Cemetery, astonishingly accurate down to the minutest details of her facial features. As the years passed, legends surrounding Gracie's life and her haunting gravestone proliferated. Visitors to her grave often leave toys and trinkets as offerings. It's said that Gracie's statue weeps blood if these gifts are removed. Numerous witnesses have reported glimpsing what appeared to be a real girl in a white dress frolicking through the cemetery grass before vanishing into thin air. Some have even claimed to see little Gracie playing in Johnson Square, a public area near the former site of the Pulaski Hotel. There's even an account of a young girl peering from the window of the building at the corner of Bryan and Bull Street, the location where the Pulaski once stood before its demolition in 1957. In the spring of 2002, a Savannah tour guide recounted Gracie's story to a group as they passed the Pulaski's former site. Suddenly, she noticed an unfamiliar 4-story structure reflected in the window of a nearby building. Bewildered, the guide spun around but found no such building in reality. This reflection persisted in other buildings until she completed Gracie's story. Later, upon seeing a historical photo of the Pulaski Hotel, the guide turned pale, confirming that the reflection had indeed matched the hotel's appearance. Gracie Watson's gravesite ranks among the most visited in Bonaventure Cemetery, protected by the iron fence to prevent damage to the exquisite sculpture. However, if the recounted sightings hold any truth, it appears that Gracie Watson herself continues to watch over her final resting place. So, if you find yourself in Savannah, Georgia, and decide to explore the breathtaking 160-acre expanse of Bonaventure Cemetery, remain vigilant, for you may encounter a young girl in Victorian attire, perhaps coming out to play. Highgate Cemetery in London has gained notoriety over the years. This Victorian burial ground is often regarded as one of the spookiest places in London, thanks to its crumbling tombs, tangled weeds, and imposing family mausoleums adorned with Gothic angel statues. Ivy runs rampant, and a chilling breeze is said to sweep through the cemetery, irrespective of the weather. Legends of vampires dwelling in the graveyard have circulated for a long time. There were tales of a mysterious gray figure lurking among the tombs, as well as a tall man in a hat, a woman dressed in white, and a horrifying figure seen near a pond. Some even speculated that Highgate Cemetery was the gathering place for the Vampire King and a hub for dark magic rituals. This led to a frenzy of media attention, with people both curious and frightened of potential vampire activity. The situation escalated on Halloween night in 1968, when a group of individuals ventured to another London cemetery, where they vandalized several graves. They even dug up a fresh grave and opened the coffin, committing a gruesome act by driving an iron stake, shaped like a cross, into the corpse's chest. The Highgate vampire hysteria reached its peak in 1970 when two self-proclaimed vampire hunters, David Farrant and Sean Manchester, descended on the cemetery with the goal of purging it of the alleged vampire. In a bizarre display of paranormal rivalry, each claimed the ability to expel or destroy the vampire. Manchester even announced his intention to perform an exorcism on the fateful evening of Friday the 13th in March 1970. This led to a mob of amateur vampire hunters converging on the locked cemetery, despite police efforts to control the crowd. Tragically, a few months later, on August 1, 1970, the charred and decapitated remains of a woman's body were discovered not far from the cemetery. The rivalry between Manchester and Farrant persisted for decades, marked by further grave desecrations and reports of vampire sightings at Highgate. While the supposed Vampire King was never apprehended, several graves were violated, and Manchester himself admitted to opening one coffin, believing he was guided by psychic powers. He was allegedly about to stake the corpse when a companion convinced him otherwise. Reluctantly, Manchester sealed the coffin once more and left garlic and incense in the vault. Today, Highgate Cemetery is accessible only by ticketed admission, and its gates are locked at night. The question remains, are these measures in place to deter trespassers or to confine the departed souls within?